So I titled my last post-game video from the last upload that I had, "I don't even know what to say about the Chicago Bulls anymore." I mean, I feel like the title should have just been the same again with just a continued in parentheses. Now, there were some things that I liked from this game that we didn't see last night against the Sixers, but the thing I still cannot wrap my head around and what frustrates me the most about this Bulls team is where is the defense, at least the effort on defense anyway, and how many threes do the Bulls have to take and miss before they adapt and start driving more to the basket, especially when the Heat's best defender in Bam Adebayo was out of the lineup tonight. Anyway, what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Back-to-back losses for the Bulls, again against shorthanded teams, games that would have been key to steal a couple wins to position themselves nicely in the playoff standings, but the Bulls fall to 16-20 on the season, which puts them in 11th in the East, just outside of the play-in. Now, give the Miami Heat credit. This is a good team. I know they had a slow start to the season after, going to the finals last year, but man, do they hustle and play scrappy on defense. They're not the best defensive team, as you can see from their shooting numbers, but they are such a good defensive team. They're just all over the floor, not letting the Bulls get any easy looks, bodying up guys in the paint, again, even without Adebayo. This was just such a challenging game for the Bulls to get any kind of offense going and make any kind of run, really, because the Bulls were really in this game, really until the fourth quarter anyway, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But the Bulls could not generate any meaningful runs on offense, and even when they were finally connecting on consecutive possessions, they could not get any stops on the other end. This is just the story of the season for the Bulls because they're so deficient on the defensive end. Last night it was Dwight Howard. Tonight Bulls let Dragic go for 17 points in the fourth quarter. I don't know how you allow him to score 17 points in the fourth alone. Put a body on him. When the offense continues to go his way, stop focusing on Jimmy Butler, who didn't even score in the fourth until the final 3 minutes. The Heat held the Bulls to 90 total points. I believe that is the lowest scoring output of the season. They held the Bulls to shooting just 37% from the field, 39% from three. I will say, what I did like seeing from this game was that the Bulls did make some great hustle plays. For the most part, the energy that we didn't see at all last night, that was there, not necessarily for the whole game, but the guys were pushing the pace as much as they could, at least against a strong defensive team. And guys, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but Lauri Markkanen is not the problem. I know it's easy to just chalk it up to these last two games to say Lauri Markkanen being back, that's screwing up the team chemistry, or that his lack of defense is a liability. No, I mean, his defense is a problem, don't get me wrong, and there's still issues with Lauri Markkanen's game, but this is a more systemic issue across the team. It's not just singled out by any one individual. The majority of these guys cannot play defense well, or at least they don't try hard enough on the defensive end. And they can't take care of the basketball. Last night, 19 turnovers, and then again tonight, another 16. You are not going to be a playoff team with the kind of effort on defense and the amount of turnovers that you commit at the rate that the Bulls do. You're just not. So this is a team issue, something that needs to be addressed in the offseason, which I think Arturas will. I don't have any doubts about that. But I just think to chalk it up to say Markkanen is the problem and the Bulls are better off without him is just such a lazy take, in my opinion. He doesn't take opportunities away from other guys. There's a reason Donovan plays him over 30 minutes a game. He's one of the Bulls' better players, period. But there is a team-wide issue when it comes to defense and, again, the turnovers. Really, Markkanen and Lavine, they were the only productive guys on offense tonight. Lavine, despite his turnovers, he had 5 of the Bulls' 16, but he had a solid game tonight on offense. 30 points, shooting 10 for 16, 6 for 8 from 3, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and he had 2 blocks. A much better game from Lavine than what we saw last night. Markkanen, now he did struggle to find his shot there quite a bit in the first half, at least compared to last night after he went 7 for 7 from 3. He went 4 from 10 tonight from 3. He shot 8 for 18 across the board, 20.6 rebounds. I really need to see Lauri be more aggressive on the boards. I mean, the guy averaged 9 rebounds a game in his sophomore season, so we know he can do it. I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that this team has become a much more heavy three-point shooting team than it was 2 years ago, which naturally you're going to get shots that reflect off the rim much further out than the paint, which makes it a little more challenging to get rebounds that way if you're a big man. But come on, I need to see Lauri pulling down more than just 6 rebounds a game. As for the rest of the starters though, I mean, really non-existent tonight. Coby White, after having consistently good games, had a cold night shooting 3 for 13, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. He didn't have any turnovers though, which is great to see for a point guard, and the fact that he played 34 minutes as well. Wendell, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you only score 4 points as our starting center, 0 blocks as well. I mean, for Wendell in his rookie season, he looked like he was going to be an elite shot blocker in just a few seasons. And ever since then, he's just kind of fallen off, not able to time his jumps properly, letting guys body him up more than they ever have before. I don't know what it is, because it's not a good sign if you are regressing from your rookie season. Patrick Williams was also quiet tonight. He shot 1 for 6, just the 1 3-pointer for him, 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers as well. He did have a little scare tonight when he hyperextended his knee a bit right before halftime, but it looks like he's going to be okay as he did return and he looked fine. He also was assigned in guarding Butler tonight, which, I mean, he did okay. It could have been better. Butler really did get his on offense, which Butler's going to do. I would say Patrick probably did a better job defending guys like LeBron and Kawhi than he did tonight against Butler, but I know he also wasn't on him the whole game, and he only played 21 minutes in total. Thaddeus Young, you know, he was a little off on offense tonight from what we're used to seeing anyway. I think I've gotten so used to Thaddeus just knocking down every shot that he puts up, but he still had 13 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 6 for 13. The rest of the bench was pretty meh for the most part. You know, Otto Porter, I mean, it's clear that guy is already a shell of himself from what we saw when he started out at the season. 0 points tonight, and he just looks so much slower on both ends of the floor. It makes me think, you know, whether or not it's likely he's still having some of those back issues, but is wanting to play just to see if he can get moved before the trade deadline. That, and also knowing that, you know, if he wants at least an even decent contract from another team for next year, that he's going to need to start playing rather than just sitting on the bench. But so far it has not been looking good for Otto. If anything, he's probably hurting his case even more. And I think, you know, he's probably taking minutes away from some of these other guys that have proven to be more effective. Speaking of the trade deadline though, you might have seen I sent out a community poll question to you guys asking if the Bulls will make a move before the trade deadline, and if you thought that they were, what move would that be? You know my stance on this. I don't think the Bulls will make any moves before the trade deadline. The only guy they really should move before his contract expires, but they likely will not be able to, especially now, and that's Otto Porter. But here are the results from the poll in case you're curious. It was a pretty even split for the most part, although more people out of the near 800 votes felt that the Bulls would in fact make a move before the deadline. Most of the comments really centered around moving Otto, which isn't a surprise, and getting Drummond was also a common theme in some form or another, which I'll be honest is starting to look more and more attractive by the day, as long as they don't have to trade too much for him given he's on an expiring deal. I'm surprised we really haven't heard many updates from Drummond in general, given we know the Cavs essentially have to move him before the deadline, that they're just benching him until they do. There were a few reports, although maybe not the most credible sources, that the Bulls did have interest in Drummond and those talks were heating up, but we really haven't heard anything since then, or at least I haven't anyway. Let me know if you guys have seen otherwise. Anyway, I won't digress too much. It's another disappointing game for the Bulls, although it was a game I did predict the Bulls would likely fall for this week, but with no Bam, I really wish the Bulls would have been able to capitalize on that, continue to keep driving to the paint, knowing that their big man was out, rather than just hoisting up a bunch of threes, especially when the threes weren't falling. But alas, the Bulls weren't able to get it done, but I will give the Heat credit though, they are a strong. The Bulls have tomorrow off before they host the Raptors on Sunday. I'll be out with a video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in as always, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.